Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're breaking down a masterclass in corporate survival. How software giant SAP has spent decades and tens of billions of dollars, literally buying its way to the top.
So let's just kick things off with a huge question. You've got this massive, established company like SAP in the tech world which moves at lightning speed. How do they not just survive, but actually keep thriving for decades?
Well, the answer, it's surprisingly simple, but also incredibly expensive. SAP goes on a multi-billion-dollar shopping spree. They don't just wait for the future to happen. They go out and buy it, one innovative company at a time.
All right, so here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with how SAP built its original empire. Then we'll get into the huge cloud pivot that basically saved the company. After that, we'll look at the new tech frontiers they're conquering now, what all this means for their partners, and we'll end by guessing what's next on that massive shopping list.
Okay, first up, building the core empire. Let's rewind the clock, way back to the early days, from 91 to 07. Back then, SAP had one primary goal: become the undisputed king of on-premise enterprise software, the only game in town.
And if you look at this timeline, you can see these weren't just random purchases, right? Each one was a really calculated move. They grabbed Steve to expand their services in Germany. Then Kiefer and Weidinger to add some crucial sales software. Top Manage, that was their ticket into the small business market. But the real earthquake was in 2007. The nearly $7 billion deal for business objects. I mean, that instantly made SAP a powerhouse in the red-hot field of data analytics. Just like that.
But just as SAP was sitting on its throne, a massive new threat appeared on the horizon, something that challenged their entire business model and forced the most dramatic and, the most expensive shift in their history.
And what was that problem? The cloud. All of a sudden, you've got these new, agile competitors like Salesforce and Workday popping up. Customers were flocking to them because they offered software on a flexible subscription basis. SAP's whole model, selling these big, expensive software licenses, was suddenly looking, well, a little old. They had to act, and they had to act fast, or risk becoming a dinosaur.
So what do you do when your own teams can't build a solution fast enough to fight off an existential threat? You open up the corporate checkbook, and you buy it. And I mean, just look at the scale of their response. It was staggering. Check out these numbers. In just a few years, we're talking over $16 billion to snap up the undisputed leaders in 3 key cloud categories. You've got HR with SuccessFactors, procurement with Ariba, and travel and expense management with Concur. Boom, boom, boom.
And you know, the price they paid for this pivot definitely caught everyone's attention. This analysis from the research firm IDC at the time really sums it up. They pointed out that SAP paid a massive 52% premium for SuccessFactors. Think about that. This wasn't just some casual purchase. It was a clear sign of pure urgency. It showed just how seriously SAP took the threat from those new cloud kids on the block, like Workday.
So yeah, this acquisition wasn't just a small step into the cloud. It was, as one analyst so memorably put it, a steroids injection. It instantly gave SAP the scale, the customers, and the credibility it desperately needed to compete in this whole new era.
Okay, but as you know, the tech world never ever stands still. After spending all those billions to conquer the cloud, SAP suddenly found that the rules of the game were changing. Again, being on the cloud was no longer a cool differentiator. It was just the price of entry.
The goalposts had completely moved. The future wasn't just about being in the cloud, it was about what you were doing there. The new battlegrounds, they were things like AI, customer experience, and intelligent business automation.
And to win this new battle, SAP made another eye-watering purchase. In 2018, it dropped $8 billion on a company called Qualtrics. But what in the world does Qualtrics actually do? Well, they're the leader in this really fascinating field called experience management, or XM. It's all about capturing data on how customers and employees actually feel about a company. They call this X data. Then they combine it with the hard operational data, the O data, to get this complete picture and, make the whole business better.
And yeah, the shopping spree just kept going, with each purchase targeting another key piece of this future-proof enterprise puzzle. They bought Calidus Cloud for its AI-powered sales tools, Signavio for business process intelligence, and then LeanIX to help manage all the complex IT architecture you need for the AI era. So, after decades of these massive acquisitions, you have to ask, what does it all mean for the thousands of smaller companies, the partners, that operate in SAP's huge orbit?
What's it like when a giant buys your neighbor?
For these partners, it's a classic double-edged sword. On one hand, SAP's growth creates these huge opportunities. You get access to more customers, new technologies. But on the other hand, it brings this immense uncertainty. I mean, the partner you're working with today could suddenly become your direct competitor tomorrow if SAP decides to acquire a similar company. Your solution could become redundant almost overnight.
So how do you actually thrive in the shadow of a giant like this? Well, the path forward seems to require a three-part strategy. First, you have to collaborate super closely with SAP's roadmap. Second, you've got to specialize in a niche where you can be the absolute best, the go-to expert. And third, you have to relentlessly, constantly innovate to stay ahead of that curve. When you step back and look at it, SAP's playbook is really this powerful story of corporate evolution. It shows a ruthless willingness to adapt. It's adapt or die. It's a strategy of paying whatever it takes to acquire a market leader. And with every purchase, they reshape the entire tech landscape. And like we've seen, this story is far, far from over.
And that leaves us with one final, pretty provocative thought. Right now, AI is reshaping pretty much every industry at a dizzying pace. So, what's the next existential threat for a giant like SAP? And maybe more importantly, which company will be the next name on its multi-billion-dollar shopping list?